Gravships have completely changed the way you play Rimworld. Want to explore an infested cave on the other side of a planet? Or just pack up your entire base and leave a second raid starts knocking on your door? Then this guide will teach you everything you need to know about building and flying your own Gravship from the Odyssey DLC. First things first, you'll need to get a Gravship, and there are two ways to do that. The fastest way is choosing the Gravship start. You'll begin in orbit with 3 crew members and a basic Gravship, but this comes with a catch. Your crew messed with a mechanoid beacon, and now mechanoids are constantly tracking you. This means you won't be able to settle down in one place for long, as a huge army of mechanoids is never far behind. You can stop the mechanoids eventually, but that's a long way off. So if you don't want that constant pressure, choose any other start, and after about 6 days, you'll get a mechanoid signal quest. Once you accept it, a Gravship engine will crash down from orbit, along with a bunch of Gravlight panels, which you'll use to build your ship's substructure. Make sure to deconstruct the wreckage as well for extra panels. Now that you've got your Grav engine, it's time for some basic Gravtech. If you chose a Gravship start, you'll already have the research unlocked. Otherwise, you'll need to unlock basic Gravtech for 300 research. This unlocks 3 structures you'll need for your first flight. The pilot console. This is where your colonists control the ship from. Small thrusters. Each one adds 10 tiles to your maximum travel range. You can build up to 4 per ship. And fuel tanks, which store the Chemfuel for your thrusters. Each tile you fly has a base cost of 10 Chemfuel. You also unlock the Grav Anchor, an expensive structure that is required if you want to avoid your current map from being destroyed when you take off. It costs 300 plasteel, 80 Gravlight panels, and 5 advanced components, but you won't need it right away, unless you are wanting to return to the map you are on. Place your Grav engine first. Click on it and you'll see a number and a blue circle. The number tells you how many substructures the engine can support, and the blue circle shows the radius where you can place them. Each substructure costs 1 Gravlight panel and 4 steel. Everything, from walls to furniture, must be on a connected substructure. If something's outside the radius, over the support limit, or disconnected, it gets left behind when you take off. Build your pilot console, at least 1 small thruster, and a fuel tank. Make sure nothing is behind the thruster, or it won't work. You can build walls out of anything, even wood, but if you've got the resources, go for the new Gravship hull. It costs 7 steel, compared to the 5 for regular steel walls, but it gives more hit points, and lets you build diagonal walls. So your ship's nearly ready for launch, but you're not going anywhere without Chemfuel. Luckily, there are several ways to get it. You can build a Chemfuel refinery to convert wood or food into fuel. This requires 700 research to unlock, and can convert 70 wood or 3.5 nutrition into 35 Chemfuel. You can use the map's search function and look for Chemfuel stockpiles or refineries. If you start on a map with one of these, you can begin your journey with around 1000 Chemfuel to use in your ship. Just be careful not to be injured by the traps and enemies found within. You will also benefit from bringing a colonist with high intelligence, as you will need to hack open some doors. Starting in a glow forest biome means you will be able to harvest the new boom shrooms. Each one gives you around 8 Chemfuel, making it easy to gather enough for your first launch. If you have a colonist with an animal skill of at least 6, you could tame a boomerlope and milk it for 11 Chemfuel daily. Now that your Gravship is built and your fuel tanks are full, it's finally time to launch. But before you lift off, make sure everything and everyone you want to take with you is on the ship, as without a Grav Anchor, anything not on the ship will be gone forever. Once you are ready, click on the pilot console and select Launch Ship. You'll now see the launch ritual menu. Here you can select who will participate, and you can see the quality of the launch. The higher the launch quality, the lower your chances of something going wrong when you land, and the faster your engine cools down, letting you launch again sooner. For a high quality launch, you first need a good pilot. A healthy pawn with max intelligence has a piloting ability of 170%, adding 24.7% to the launch quality. Installing a pilot assistant into their brain will give them an extra 45% piloting ability, boosting the launch quality to just under 30%. Increasing your pilot's consciousness above 100% will further boost the launch quality, but the pilot can only add a maximum of 30%. You will also want a co-pilot. While not as important as a pilot, their piloting ability still contributes 50% as much as a main pilot's ability does. Having additional crew members also adds 2% launch quality each, regardless of their piloting ability, though this only applies to the first 5 crew members. You can have a maximum of 4 small thrusters, with each one giving a 1% boost to quality, and you can have up to 6 large thrusters, with each one giving 3% quality, meaning you can get a maximum of 22 quality from thrusters alone. And if you're lucky enough to find a pilot sub-persona core, that's an extra 15% quality each, for a maximum of plus 30 quality with 2. Launch quality maxes out at 100%, and if you achieve that, you will only have an 8-hour wait until you can launch again, and only a 2% chance of an incident when landing. So what happens if things go wrong? Fortunately, none of the outcomes are too detrimental. You may suffer a minor Gravship crash, which damages some buildings on board. Your thrusters may break down, meaning you'll need to replace the components in some of your thrusters. Your engine could overheat, increasing your engine cooldown time, or your pawns may suffer from grav nausea for the next 2 to 5 hours. So you've had your first flight, and now want to expand your Gravship. But as you do, that 500 substructure limit is going to seem very restricting, which is where the grav field extender comes in. Building these within the radius of your grav engine increases the substructure limit by 250 each, and expands the area where you can build substructures. Up to 6 can be built per ship, allowing you to build up to 2,000 substructures. To build one of these, you are going to need grav-light panels and a Gravcore. Once you get a Gravcore detected quest, check your world map for a blue hexagon. These are usually a couple jumps away, and can even be in orbit. Click on it to see the threat at the location. Usually, you'll need to breach a facility, guarded by mechanoids and traps. These locations also always have a good supply of grav-light panels, to help you expand your ship further. Gravcores can also be found in sealed containers, or as rewards from Odyssey related quests. Once you've researched standard Gravtech for 1200 research, you unlock 2 major upgrades. First is a large Chemfuel tank. As they store 750 Chemfuel each, you'll only need 2 of them to store enough fuel for the longest possible jump. And since in the same 3x3 space that they take up, you can store 4050 Chemfuel using shelves. It is much more efficient to store your extra Chemfuel on shelves. Next is the large thruster. These increase your range by 16 tiles each, meaning, with a maximum of 4 small thrusters and 6 large thrusters, you can have a maximum jump range of 136 tiles. But building them requires 50 backstone each, so it's time to head into orbit and get some. Space is cold, and being a vacuum, you won't be able to survive for long if your ship isn't airtight. Before heading into orbit, ensure all your walls on the outside of your ship are made of an airtight material. This means metallic materials are fine, however, wood or stone, including obsidian and jade, are not. Vents and air conditioners are considered airtight, so it's safe to have them on the outside of your ship. Also, ensure your ship has no holes in the walls, floor, or roof. You will also want to ensure your whole ship is properly heated. Small rooms will be fine with 1 heater, but larger ones may need 2 or 3. Next, you will want to research orbital tech for 1000 research. This will unlock vac suits, vac barriers, oxygen pumps, and the orbital scanner. Starting with vac barriers, place them at every entrance to the ship. They block air, but not pawns or objects, letting your pawns move freely in and out of your ship without losing oxygen or heat. Also, as they don't let hot or cold air through like an open door, it's a good idea to use them in your freezer, so you can keep it at a steady temperature. Even if you have an airtight ship, events like solar flares or raids can still result in a breach, so you'll want to build oxygen pumps to quickly restore oxygen to a room once the breach is sealed. The orbital scanner isn't necessary for your first trip into orbit, but is useful to passively find objects in orbit, like asteroids with valuable materials, and orbital platforms with good loot. It has to be unroofed to function, and costs 500 watts to run. To leave your ship safely, your pawns will need vacuum resistant gear. You can craft a vac suit and a vac suit helmet at a machining table to give 100% vacuum resistance, completely negating any negative effects of a vacuum. However, it does also come with a hefty 1.25 move speed penalty. An alternative to vac suits is any other power armor. like recon or marine armor. They offer slightly less than 100% vacuum resistance, but that shouldn't be a problem, as long as your pawns have a pressurized room to rest in. Once your ship is ready, launch to any asteroid, and mine enough backstone chunks to get at least 300 bricks, as this will be enough to build all 6 large thrusters. During your travels on your Gravship, you're likely to come across some unique structures for the ship, whether as rare loot or as quest rewards. The Pilot Sub-Persona Core will boost your launch quality by 15% each, for a maximum of 30% with 2. The Fuel Optimizer reduces your fuel usage by 30% each. With a maximum of 2, you will only need 4 Chemfuel to travel per tile, down from the base cost of 10. And finally, the Gravship Shield Generator, which can be activated manually by a pawn to create a shield with a radius of 25 tiles that blocks both ground and aerial projectiles. It has 500 health, lasts 100 seconds, or until hit with an EMP, but has a cooldown of 4 hours before it can be activated again. Only 2 can be installed per Gravship. The final tier of Gravtech is Advanced Gravtech. Once you unlock it for 2000 research, you will be able to craft the Pilot Assistant and Gravlight panels. While they both could already be found as loot, being able to craft them can be very helpful. You also unlock Gravcore power cells. If you don't need any more grav field extenders, you can use your spare Gravcores to make power cells that produce 1200 watts of power passively. They only work on Gravships, but can be an excellent stable source of power. And finally, the Signal Jammer. Also at the cost of 1 Gravcore, having one of these on your ship is essential to safely landing on heavily guarded orbital platforms, like the ones owned by the Traders Guild faction. If you are planning on getting the Odyssey DLC's ending, you will also need one to visit the Mech Hive. Well, that was everything you need to know to get started with your own Gravship. If this was helpful at all, then subscribe, and if you think I've missed anything important, or have some extra tips, let me know in the comments.